Have you ever prayed, and your words felt hollow? As if they don't reach the heavens, getting stuck somewhere in the air, coated in invisible dust. This feeling is familiar to many, and it can be deeply unsettling. You start to doubt the strength of your faith, your connection to the divine, whether your pleas and thanks are even heard. This isn't always the work of evil, nor always a lack of faith or poorly chosen words. Sometimes the answer lies much closer, in an unexpected place, in an object you consider your most loyal shield and bridge to the divine, in your rosary. Padre, Pio, a saint whose spiritual sight penetrated the veils of our world, often spoke of things that escaped ordinary eyes. He saw not only what was on the surface, but also subtle energies, invisible influences. He warned that prayer isn't just a set of words or a ritual. It's a profound vibration of the soul, emanating from the very heart of a person. But as he noted, even the most sincere, the most fervent prayer can be muffled if its energy source, its carrier, finds itself in a kind of trap. He saw how a powerful instrument of faith, the Rosary, could itself, without any malicious intent, become an obstacle, unknown to most believers, but perceptible to heaven. This isn't the Rosary's fault, and certainly not your personal fault. It's the result of invisible spiritual noise that we ourselves, often unconsciously, create around this sacred object. Many of us, in our daily hustle or simply out of ignorance, make the same mistake, capable of unwittingly opening doors to undesirable spiritual influence. We treat the Rosary, this incredibly powerful weapon of prayer, a priceless gift believed to have been passed down to us by the Blessed Mother herself, as any other ordinary object. We thoughtlessly toss it on a shelf, in a drawer, or even in a pocket, next to things whose spiritual resonance can be utterly opposite to its own sacred nature. Padre Pio, possessing astonishing spiritual insight, clearly saw and repeatedly pointed out a troubling truth. The problem isn't so much the specific place where the Rosary is kept, but rather its neighbors, the items immediately next to it. Every object, whether an ancient relic or a modern gadget, carries an invisible imprint of its history, its energy, its associations. And if your Rosary is next to something that screams of your past mistakes, unrepented sins, impure thoughts, or even next to dead matter, like broken items, it begins to experience that influence. Think about those old, unnecessary things we often keep just in case, but which have long since outlived their usefulness and might carry a negative charge. These could be broken pieces of jewelry that evoke unpleasant memories, forgotten letters filled with old pain or resentment, items directly associated with bad habits you're trying to break, or even just things that carry a strong energy of vanity, pride, or empty showmanship. The Rosary, this sacred conduit of purity, humility, and divine grace, placed in such a polluted environment, becomes like a living being suffocating in toxic air. It doesn't lose its blessing, that remains with it forever, but its ability to be a clean, unobstructed channel for your prayers for receiving grace inevitably weakens. It starts not to uplift, but to absorb, becoming part of the surrounding chaos, rather than a bridge meant to lead above it. Padre Pio saw how the souls of those whose rosaries were contaminated by such harmful proximity began to lose clarity. In prayer, their connection with God became dim, and the comfort and answers they sought became indistinguishable. This isn't a curse that someone placed on you or your rosary. It's the result of a disruption of the spiritual order that we ourselves, often completely unconsciously, allow and even create around the most sacred objects in our lives. Imagine trying to talk on the phone while hundreds of other voices, noise, and interference surround you. You hear the person you're talking to with difficulty, and they hear you with difficulty. This is exactly what happens to your prayer when the rosary, intended to be a clear line of communication, is in a spiritually polluted space. This problem doesn't always manifest dramatically. Often, it's a slow, imperceptible fading. Your prayers lose depth, the comfort they bring becomes fleeting, and the presence of God is felt less and less. You might feel cut off alone, even though you continue to pray. This is because your rosary, instead of elevating your words, absorbs the noise and distractions from its surroundings. It becomes not a shield from darkness, but an amplifier of its presence in your spiritual life. Padre Pio called this spiritual pollution. He knew that darkness doesn't always attack directly. Often, it simply waits for us to create the conditions for it. When the sacred is mixed with the profane, when purity is surrounded by disorder. This isn't a question of good or bad, but a question of resonance. The rosary is attuned to heaven. If its surroundings are attuned to earth, or even something worse, a conflict occurs that blocks the flow of grace, restoring this spiritual order, seemingly complex, actually involves simple yet profound steps. Padre Pio taught that it doesn't require any mystical magic or intricate rituals, but merely a sincere intention and a desire for purity. The first step is a thorough and honest review of what surrounds your rosary. Look at the items around it from a new critical perspective. Ruthlessly remove anything that, in your inner sense, carries a negative charge or is simply superfluous. These could be items related to your past mistakes, addictions you're trying to break, or bad memories. This also includes items carrying the energy of vanity, egoism, excessive materialism, for example, unused but expensive jewelry, symbols of wealth without spiritual meaning, or useless souvenirs. Separate your rosary from anything broken, dirty, or simply useless clutter that creates disorder. And it's especially important to remove any items related to occult practices, superstitions, false teachings, or simply things that don't align with your faith. These could be talismans, amulets, energy stones, if they are not consecrated and used within the context of your spiritual tradition. After you've cleared the surrounding space, give your rosary a new, dignified place. A place whose atmosphere speaks of its holiness and purpose. This could be a small, neat box, specially designated for it and lined with clean linen cloth. A shelf located next to your Bible or crucifix. Or a small, specifically designed corner that will always remain free from the chaos of daily life. The goal here is not extravagance, but intention. You are creating a sacred microspace where the rosary can breathe pure spiritual air, restoring its true function. This clean and quiet place, dedicated to reflection and prayer, will allow the rosary to once again become a full vessel for prayer and protection. However, merely changing its storage location isn't enough. Padre Pio also urged believers to actively re-establish their personal, deep connection with the rosary through touch and daily presence. Don't let it lie idle, collecting dust. Try to hold it in your hands, carry it with you if convenient, or at least once a day touch it and say a short prayer, such as Hail Mary. This isn't just a physical gesture. It's a powerful reminder of your continuous connection with heaven, which helps to cleanse and strengthen your spiritual channel. In cases where a rosary has been long neglected or misused, a simple but sincere act of rededication can help restore its spiritual atmosphere. You can hold it in your hands while saying a short blessing. Place it before a lit candle, symbolizing divine light. Or sprinkle it with holy water, if you have any, as a sign of renewal and purification. It's important to understand that this action is not aimed at re-blessing the object itself. The rosary's blessing is eternal. Rather, this action is aimed at reorienting your own heart and soul. It is your inner disposition, your sincerity, and the purity of your intention that breathe new life into sacramentals. The rosary always responds to reverence. It does not demand perfection from those who use it, but only deep and true sincerity. When you do this, you'll feel changes. Perhaps at first they'll be barely perceptible, a gentle calm that fills the room when you pick up your rosary. A sudden clarity during prayer. A sense of presence that seemed lost. Your prayers will become alive again, and the answers tangible. This isn't superstition. It's a return to the spiritual order that Padre Pio taught. He knew that our spiritual lives are intricately intertwined with our physical surroundings, and that our sacred items, if given a clean space, can be powerful conduits of God's grace and protection. It's time to look at your rosary not just as an object, but as a living instrument waiting for you to free it from unseen shackles. Light a candle. Take your rosary in your hands. Feel its weight, its coolness. And now, let each touch of the beads be not just a movement, but a penetration into the depths of your soul. Feel the whispers of the past that might have clung to it. And then, with the power of intention, separate it. Separate it from everything that doesn't belong to it. Imagine light streaming from each bead, burning away all darkness, all noise, all interference that might have settled upon it. And say, not just with words, but from the very core of your being, my rosary, you are a bridge to heaven. Let all that has dimmed your light now be shattered. May you be a pure channel for my prayers, and may grace flow through you, meeting no obstacles. So be it. Now, having taken this step, listen closely. Perhaps heaven is already responding to your call. And remember, there are far more hidden truths in the world than we imagine. If this message has touched you, if you felt this call deep within, then know, you are not alone. Share this video with those who might be unknowingly making this mistake, who are seeking clarity and protection. Let this warning from Padre Pio resonate with more souls. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and turn on notifications. We will continue to reveal important knowledge that can help you protect your spirit and your home in this world full of invisible influences.